Perfectly.
That's what I said. The biggest obstruction of the patriarchy is your right to enlightenment.
It's true.
No one knows they have a right to wake up.
No, it's really true. And even though you can say it and talk about it for years on end, and suddenly it comes
But
out.
no one sees it as a right. They see it might as a special possibility,
Yeah.
and particularly for men.
Mm-hmm.
But,
Mm-hmm.
you know.
It's awesome.
Yeah, it's great. It's great that
Talk was wonderful.
no matter what conditioning you've been in, no matter what you've been allowed to think or believe about yourself, you can come to a place where you can reject whatever works, whatever you like, whatever you don't like, accept work with what you like, reject what you don't. It's all up to you. No one can tell you that.
That's unbelievable.
People can tell you about their own experience, and if you find that their experience is successful to them, that can be inspiration, but other than that, I think all experience and all people have that, rather than it's just one way or the other, like everyone's entirely, like someone's just entirely negative, or someone's just entirely positive. I don't think you can really find that in nature or in any manifested form, that you can find that. And as harmless as someone might be, other people might feel that harmlessness is inaction, and it doesn't stand up for themselves or you. So even harmlessness can be seen as a detriment to somebody else or the person themselves, but they don't really understand it. You know? Because sometimes harmlessness is just masking that you can't take up your own space.
Yes.
Yeah.
Trying to be
So I'm benign, I'm kind,
Benign,
I'm
huh?
nice, but you're not really taking up your space,
Yeah.
so you can't claim your right to your enlightenment, or you claim your right to your choices and your path. And when you get on a spiritual path, a lot of people think it's giving up all that, you know, your right to your own your own space and your own choices, and take responsibility for what you're choosing. And yeah, after all the years of teaching for myself, that's what everybody did anyways. They just did what they wanted. They never did if they did what they didn't want to, it was a very short time. You know, they're just testing it out and said no. Even if it was something that seemed great or positive or wonderful to somebody else, or was a good teaching, they themselves didn't have it didn't have value. It didn't empower them to own their own space, be responsible for their choices. And the funny thing about the spiritual path is, and I think just in general in life, the only way to have authentic life, from any way you're looking at it, from just having intelligent life in the relatable field, in sustaining yourself or trying to wake up, you have to do it yourself, and you have to be really strong to do it, instead of you give up in the culture the volition to have that capacity in your husband, with your family, for your kids, or if you're on the spiritual path, also add on to the spiritual community and the guru. It doesn't work. And so all my years of teaching, you always did what you wanted, but I wanted to do it as we went along. I wanted you to see that you were choosing it. And so what you were choosing either worked for you or didn't work for you, and you could choose something better or continue. And when you come into your own space and you do that, you see the similarities in the spiritual path for people. Like how you're the same as someone else who's got a deeper practice, who's deepening a practice, or someone who's awakened. You go, oh, okay, I get that, and I can see why it went that way for them, because it's going this way for me is somewhat different, but I can see the basis of it, and that's how teachings got developed. You know, the basis of how to live and how to understand enlightenment and how to practice enlightenment. So what you're doing in the spiritual path is practicing your enlightenment until it's actually really authentic and really deepens, and whatever else occurs in your life, you're strong enough to handle all of it, so it doesn't deviate you from that deepening and that recognition of your true state. You know, your true state is exactly how you are right now. It's not really different. That if you're enlightened, you're going to be like incredibly different kind of person. And I was reading some Zen stories, and these were modern day masters, and one was a kind of a quiet character, and he was not strong and extroverted, and able to go and just be like a lion with whoever he met. He's a very shy and timid character, and he's like, oh, I'm going to get enlightened and be like my master. And so as he progressed on the path, he realized, I don't think it's going to go that way. I'm choosing to, sit in meditation. I'm choosing this practice. And it's my responsibility. I know all that. And one day he asked his teacher, and he said, no, I was always like this, and you're going to be like how you always been. You'll be like that. You're not going to have a different nature, a different way to express yourself to the world, and a different way you are going about what you do in the world. It'll be very similar. But at the same time, you're really going to own that space. It's really going to be you being you, and not you as a confused person who's terrified to be in her own space and allowed to go forward with whatever you love, you're attracted to, and just wanting to bond yourself to stronger sources. Hope they'll bring you for the ride, because they're not going to bring you for the ride because you have to do it. And there's some good people that might want to bring you for the ride. That's what I tried to do in my teaching, but it didn't work. It didn't work at all. So that's good. So if you've been here for 30 years and you feel like, all right, I got my own space now, and I'm staying in it, and I'm going to live and practice based on my choice, based on my responsibility. I see the value of different wisdom. I see the value of the fundamental wisdom. I want to stay here. I want to be enlightened. And so I'm now going to not be told anything by anybody, particularly competing devotees within the circle, or competing devotees that are with other communities. They'll also want to tell you how it should be or what you should be like. I've been to different teachers more after I woke up, just to be friendly, see what everybody's up to, see the peer group, see what's going on. And the assumption is that whoever walks into the room has a problem and they're seeking enlightenment without really knowing anybody and, seeing anybody and really looking with your heart with anybody. And some people, and so the assumption is that you came to me, so you want what I have or want my teaching or something about that. And I always thought that was a little arrogant, to tell you the truth. You never know who shows up. It could be an amazing person. And just to look at it that way. And not to be able to, stop doing your work for a minute, stop selling your enlightenment, stop selling your way, and just notice and just be present. So you're saying that it wasn't the spiritual experience itself made you stronger, it was that people are oppressing you having the spiritual experience, and you wanted to stand up for it.
I decided not to take it.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah, to a certain degree.
So you're thinking one thing in a spiritual community people would actually advocate is you having the spiritual experience. But that's competition and jealousy is very intense in spiritual communities, in general, in life, but maybe even more so there. Because it's kind of elusive what people are going for there.
It is.
Yeah, it is. It's kind of elusive. Like, what are we going for here? Like, she getting something? I don't know. Wait a minute. I don't like the way she's doing it. So you see that part of your life as great learning, fire challenge for you?
Seems positive.
Yeah. Because, that's what I say, if you look back at your life and you're really in the space of your life and you're taking on your own space and your own empowerment there, and you're making your own choices and you're standing up for them and learning and growing from them, that whatever happened in the past that was really difficult, you don't have to look at any of it as being a victim or a survivor, because you just say, well, that was a fiery time where I was really being challenged to come into my own space and stand up for myself and figure out what was I doing and what I wanted. If you look back at your life, there might be times where you go, I didn't really stand up for what I wanted. I didn't really know it. I was confused. I just wanted what Bill said sometimes, and I wanted what Mary said sometimes, but I didn't know what I wanted and how I was going to stay in that and let that grow me and follow that and work at that. And so part of your life, for a lot of people, they might never get past this point, but if you come into it, and you come and start getting strong in it. You look back at everything that happened, and it's not the blame game, it's not the victim game, it's not the survivor game. It's like, okay, that was a fiery challenge, and what was that showing me? And once you own your own space and stay there, your life deepens. But you look at those times, and they are very powerful times for you.
You turned it.
They're awful.
Turned it around.
Yeah, they're
for
awful.
yourself.
Like I said,
Yeah.
you lived all that suffering. But when I showed you a way to look at it, and you were ready to stand in it, you went, oh.
I was
All that
blown
needed
away.
to happen, it was important it happened,
Mhm.
and it was terrible it happened, but inherent in it was something very valuable that if I can look at it,
That way.
yeah, it's like
And it
you,
empowered me.
yes, and how do we get empowered? We have to be brave.
Struggle.
Yeah, we, being empowered means that you have the power to resist what's ever opposing you, and so that's empowerment. So what was opposing you there was, what's that, patriarchy?
Mhm. That's a
And the
good-
competition in spiritual communities,
Yes, that too.
and the conformity in spiritual communities. Whenever you have a group of people, there's a lot of conformity going on, and usually, the status quo of conformity might not be good enough for you. For some people, the status quo, like everybody knows they're going to get $50, from their teacher if they do their homework, and that might be enough for somebody to get by on and be happy about, but for somebody else, it's the deal, what they have to give up to get that, and what it represents and what it actually gives them is not enough, and it's not good, and it's not true for them. And so spiritual communities have a lot of problems in it as well, and well, I can't see anything that isn't full of flaws and mistakes, but so to blame anything, to blame and to act like you barely survived it or you're victimized by it. Nah. I mean, everybody's life's full of flaws and mistakes. It's like, how do you learn from them? And how do you grow? And how do you stay where you are and get clear about what you decided and what kind of energy and, where's that power going to come from that's going to help you go forward? And all communities are full of flaws and mistakes, all teachers, all governments, all families. In fact, the flaws and mistakes in families is laughed at, and there's a lot of humor about, if you think you're enlightened to go spend a couple of weeks with your parents, I heard that joke several times this week. I don't know what's been coming up. My parents are dead, but I'd have to really go far. But yeah, it's if we can look at life that way, then we can take all those crappy mistakes that we're emotionally reactive about and having an agenda of disempowerment with ourselves. Like, how can we go forward because all this happened to us, And how can we stand in place of authenticity and strength if all this happened to us? Yeah. So, you choose it. You're free to do it. You don't have to bond to anything to somehow get empowerment from that bond. You get it directly from yourself. You pick what's right, what's true, how much energy you're gonna put into it, how much you want it. You do it. And it can be a complete fucking flop. And that's okay. Then you go, well, that was a flop. I'm not gonna do that. I'm gonna try this now. You can do whatever you want. It's you're the dreamer. You're creating. You created your own enlightenment, and now you're creating the bridge to your enlightenment. And once you get there on that bridge, you hold firm and you stay there, and you begin to see how big you are. When you go deeper in your empowerment, you see how big you are. So as someone who comes here and has a limited mind and identity and bodily life and a certain amount of years, that all seems, maybe in the beginning it seems big enough, but as you go along it seems frustratingly small, and you don't want to really associate it with, so you're kind of not in your space. You don't want to get there because it seems too small. And then also the influences of the patriarchy and what you can be and not be, that also means to be trying and difficult. And so somehow you associate around the space that's your body mind. You don't want to actually be in it, you don't want to actually arrive there. But that's the only way you get empowered. That's the way you only go deeper. And the deeper you go, the bigger you are. So you get so big that what you thought was you, all that little stuff, that little identity stuff, and all those stories you have about that, it seems insignificant and too small.
Yeah.
And so that's, that's very close to enlightenment at that point. When you just don't give a fuck about any of that anymore, you outgrow all of it, you don't have any anger about any of it, you're not mad, you're not a victim of it, you're not a survivor of it. You just see it as the fire that burned you free and deep. Then yeah,
Beautiful.
you're there.
It's really beautiful.
And then you live there. And so then at that point, you say, okay, I've arrived here, my body mind's intact, everything's fine, I'm here, I'm free, all right, now I want to test this in all situations. And then in the early period of your enlightenment, maybe it's the first couple of years, you test whatever experience comes, whatever anybody brings you, whatever life brings you, whatever your close loved ones bring you, whatever the government brings you, whatever the culture, whatever nature brings you, and you test to see if you lose it. And if you're truly fully awake, then you don't lose it. And it becomes big enough. And you're so big, but that bigness begins to fall out on everybody else in some ways. And they're like, well, what's that? I don't get that. Why did you just, a disassociated finite being who's not empowered in her own space, why isn't she that? I don't get her, And yet, people who are really not in their bodies and not empowered there don't really see enlightenment in others very well if someone's awake. You can't really see it very well. But I've been in situations where little kids and other people somehow come across me and they don't have any need to put me in a place or position or figure out anything about me, and they just feel it and they go, oh, there's something kind of big about this. I don't get it. I don't know what it is. And it doesn't have to be labeled particularly to get it or anything. So, well, that's a good week for you.
It is a good
We've
week.
been working on this for years. You got there? So, well, maybe we're coming to the phase where the harvest is coming in. We're getting the harvest now. Yep.
Cut those pumpkins.
Cut those pumpkins. Anybody else have anything to say, or you want to say anything more about any of that, or?
No, it's just, you've said a lot.
Yeah.
If something comes up, I'll say it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you feel different about everything now.
I do.
I told you once you're here, this is not enlightenment yet.
No.
This is the ability to
I know.
completely practice now,
Mm.
willingly and deeply, because of your own choice, and dreaming your enlightenment now.
Mm.
So this is the beginning of it. This seems like a very powerful place, so powerful that people had glimpses of enlightenment and haven't even gotten here yet. So it's taken all of these years to get here, And I'm sure with being around spiritual influences, you had certain glimpses. But by the same end, if you can't stand in your own space here and understand what this is and why you're standing here, you can't begin to actually choose practice every second of the day. You're going to choose. You don't know what you're choosing.
You don't even know what you're doing. You don't know what you're talking about even.
Exactly.
I wouldn't know. What are you? Okay, standing. I don't know. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know what you're
Yeah,
talking
but when
about.
any teacher came and had a teaching, you would bond to their ideas, but you didn't know what they were talking about.
No, it's
It
true.
didn't really hit you.
No.
Yeah.
Narcissus. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I really didn't.
Yeah.
know he was
So it
talking
took all these years for you to finally give yourself the permission to say, God damn it, it's my life.
It's
I'm in my own space,
Yeah.
and I'm going to choose what's right, what's true, what's authentic for me. No one else can tell me, and I'm not looking towards others to verify me. Yeah. So if they verify me enough, I will follow what they want of me. No, it doesn't work that way. So that's all corrupt. Like I said, there's corrupt desire and corrupt idealism. And mostly what's practiced in this life, you think desire could be, a wonderful thing. You follow this beautiful attraction and you'll feel happy, even if it's a desire for enlightenment or a desire for love or a desire for success. But it gets corrupted. And how does it get corrupted? How does idealism get corrupted? Why does idealism be corrupted? Because people use wonderful ideas to play the patriarchy game, to play power dynamic games, to just keep things going in a way that doesn't make anything cooperative. It doesn't make us all know we're living in a unifying field of love. It just supports separation and dominance ideas. So a lot of our lives we played the game of desire and the game of idealism in the patriarchy, and in the way the ego operates in the patriarchy, they've been really corrupted. So people use good ideas against you all the time for selfish, terrible reasons.
Use it to get ahead.
People use desire against you when you think that it's just for love, and you want to be loved, and you want to give love. And you've used desire against people. You've used idealism against people. So those things, idealism and desire, can be corrupted. So a lot of people think if you have a good idea, nothing can corrupt it. Since our government started, the Constitution has been held up as that ideal, and there's been corruption in every generation and at all times. Just having good words or good ideas is not enough. And people have always done terrible things for love, cruel things. So just because there is desire, and you can call that love, some of it's not working. It's corrupted. It's a corrupted form of desire, corrupted form of idealism. And I've struggled with your kind of love at times, because it was kind of competitive and selfish a lot. And I've also struggled with your idealism, that you have these great concepts based on maybe Adida or other teachers or what I said, and you want to use it against me or against other people to gain special status and special recognition for yourself. So, good ideas and bad ideas, just a way to dream being here. You have to figure out. There's no idea that's held above anything. That's no important than anything. We can start a whole new government right now with whole new ideals if we want. But no one has the empowerment to stand in their own space and say, we can do it ourselves right now. We can start. We can rewrite everything and change everything and make it better now. There's one thing about, we're a very status quo country in that sense, because what was done in the past has been idealized to the degree it's like a religion in itself. The Godhead of the four founding fathers or whatever, and nobody in this present generation could come up with something better. We should never mess with that. We should never change it. We should never create a more compassionate government.
It's being used so much for the hierarchy and the patriarchy.
Yeah, like teachings by different religions and teachers and governments have been used just to hold in place corrupt ideology and corrupt desire, which instead of it hasn't fostered an empowerment of everyone in the culture and a cooperation. It hasn't done that, so. But I know with you, Pat, over the years, I said, you've been doing this for a long time in social services. You've seen the ins and outs. What's your plan? What can you do? What do you know? Why aren't you the elders saying, this is all what I learned and this is how we need to proceed? And you would look at me amazed, like, how come you're saying this? Because you wanted to bond to some ideal all the time that somebody else came up with. But where did they come up with that ideal? Would Moses come down or something, or give it to him or something?
Probably that long ago.
What's that?
Probably that long ago.
Where did they get it
Never
from?
changed it.
Pieces here and there, I think.
Somebody's heart.
Patriarchy, whatever.
Well, some comes through observing pattern, and some comes through just inspiration when a new idea comes, and it hasn't been tested yet, And people like politics or like social service work. They enjoy that like an artist enjoys art in the art world. And I understand that, but there's a lot of mediocrity, a lot of status quo, a lot of things like I would call not real art. And in that field, there's a lot of things that are not real politics going on. And,
no true spirit in it.
Yeah. And, there's not just one Abe Lincoln. It's not just one, you know,
Yeah.
whoever you think was great. It could be you.
Mhm.
And all you have to do is look at the pattern, hold to a really strong ideal, look at how the pattern needs to change, and what's going to serve that, and show people how to cooperate with it. Anybody can do that. None of it's hard. Any artist who's worked hard enough can do a good painting and show someone how to do it. Yeah. I think American Idol showed that you can go almost to any town, and there's a lot of good singers in every town.
Yeah, they
So
do.
having a good voice is not all that rare. How many people want to actually perform and learn how to do it and have that lifestyle? Well, I wouldn't like that lifestyle. But a lot of people think it's like so great to be famous and be a good singer. I wouldn't like that lifestyle. I don't want to go to a strange place every night and sing to people, same old songs, and you know that seems like the same way I wouldn't want to be a politician for different reasons.
Yeah.
So we all end up, you know, being ourselves in the way that makes sense to us. No one can tell you what that is. You have to find out.